prisons that are worse than death. When people think of prison, they envision strict routines and restricted freedoms. However, some facilities worldwide extend beyond the intent of punishment, plunging inmates into settings marked by cruelty, deprivation, and relentless suffering. Here we delve into 13 of the most notorious prisons worldwide, places where human endurance is pushed to the absolute brink. 1. Red Onion State Prison, Virginia, USA. Built in 1997, Red Onion State Prison quickly earned a reputation for its extreme conditions. As a supermax prison, it was designed to house inmates who are deemed a serious threat within the penal system. Inmates here spend most of their time confined to small, solitary cells with extremely limited social interaction. For those in solitary confinement, isolation is extreme. They leave their cells only 3 times weekly for showers and get 1 hour of recreation time 5 days a week. Every outing requires strip searches and shackling, a routine that many describe as dehumanizing. The severe isolation has left a psychological toll on inmates. A notable case was Taquin Lee, who endured over 600 days in solitary confinement. His mother shared the heartbreaking physical decline she witnessed in her son's decayed teeth, drastic weight loss, and a haunted expression. Due to these grueling conditions, some inmates resorted to hunger strikes to demand basic humane treatment. 2. La Santé Prison, Paris, France. La Santé, ironically translating to good health, stands in stark opposition to its name. Originally a holding place for prisoners awaiting execution, it now houses inmates in squalid, overcrowded conditions. Cells are cramped, with multiple inmates sharing space meant for fewer occupants. Limited shower access has resulted in widespread skin diseases and infestations. Subpar food quality has often led to gastroenteritis outbreaks. The appalling conditions at La Santé have been the subject of many investigations, revealing frequent violence, drug abuse, and harsh treatment from guards. Though closed for renovations in 2014, the reopening in 2019 showed few signs of significant improvement in inmate treatment. 3. Sabaneta Prison, Venezuela. Sabaneta was notorious for its extreme overcrowding and chaos, reflecting Venezuela's larger issues within its prison system. Originally built to house 700 inmates, it had over 3,700 by the time of its closure in 2013. Inmates faced constant food and water shortages, as well as inadequate medical care. Violence was common, with prisoners openly carrying weapons. In such a brutal survival of the fittest environment, weaker inmates were regularly exploited or abused. A series of riots led to countless deaths, and with guards unable or unwilling to enforce order, conditions spiraled into a nightmare of untreated injuries, disease, and ceaseless violence. 4. Bang Kwang Central Prison, Thailand. Nicknamed the Bangkok Hilton, Bang Kwang is infamous for its harsh treatment, particularly of foreign inmates. Prisoners are often forced to wear leg irons, with those on death row required to keep them on permanently. Severe overcrowding makes conditions inhumane, with limited space exacerbating health risks. Minimal and poor quality food leaves inmates susceptible to malnutrition and other health complications. Former prisoners recount horrific experiences, describing the prison as a living hell where any defiance or protest is met with swift, brutal punishment. 5. Kigondo Transit Center, Rwanda. The Kigondo Transit Center is notorious for its horrific conditions, with detainees, many of whom are held without formal charges, subjected to intense suffering. Detainees are packed into overcrowded rooms, where beatings and abuse are commonplace. Essentials like food and water are scarce, leading to malnutrition and serious health issues. Tragically, children make up a considerable percentage of detainees and suffer the same brutal treatment as adults. Reports paint a bleak picture, with many detainees experiencing severe malnutrition and untreated injuries as a result of extreme deprivation. 6. Kamiti Maximum Security Prison, Kenya. Kamiti has a long-standing reputation for severe overcrowding, inhumane conditions, and a grim history of housing political prisoners. Inmates face inadequate diets and a lack of access to clean water. Disease spreads rapidly due to the close quarters and unsanitary conditions. Torture and mistreatment are reported frequently. Despite promises of reform, Kamiti's conditions remain dismal. Protests by inmates have led to stricter controls and often more brutal treatment. 7. Black Beach Prison, Equatorial Guinea. Originally constructed in the 1940s, Black Beach is infamous for its brutal conditions, and many inmates report experiences that sound like scenes from a horror film. But prisoners, often held without trial, face overcrowded cells and scarce resources. The lack of sanitation results in frequent disease outbreaks. Substandard food quality leads to widespread malnutrition. The total disregard for inmate welfare strips them of their humanity, and former detainees describe Black Beach as a nightmare that lingers long after their release. 8. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia. Russia's Black Dolphin Prison is known for its intense security and its cruel treatment of inmates, most of whom are hardened criminals. Inmates endure cramped cells under constant surveillance and strict controls. Meager meals, often just bread and soup, barely sustain the prisoners. Both physical and psychological abuse are common, with guards trained to exhibit zero sympathy. The notorious reputation of Black Dolphin reflects the violent and extreme measures taken to maintain order, creating a place devoid of compassion or rehabilitation. 9. Diyab Prison, Turkey. Following a military coup, Diyab Prison became known as Turkey's slaughterhouse. Reports reveal severe beatings, torture, and other inhumane treatments inflicted on inmates. Overcrowded cells and unsanitary conditions have led to many preventable deaths. Kurdish political detainees face particularly cruel treatment, often in direct retaliation for their ethnic background. Accounts from former inmates paint a picture of a facility steeped in violence and oppression, where prisoners are subjected to horrific abuse. 10. Badambagh Prison, Afghanistan. Badambagh, known for its appalling treatment of female inmates, often holds women accused of moral crimes. Inmates share small rooms with many others, creating an extremely cramped living situation. Many prisoners are detained for extended periods without trial. The abuse and neglect have worsened since the Taliban's takeover, with reports of torture against women who dare to speak out. The prison's deteriorating conditions highlight the systemic oppression faced by Afghan women, particularly those trapped within its walls. 11. Camp 14, North Korea. North Korea's infamous Camp 14 is better described as a concentration camp than a prison, housing entire families accused of political infractions. Prisoners are forced to perform grueling labor under harsh conditions. Starvation is a constant threat, with food rations so meager that incidents of cannibalism have been reported. Stringent regulations control every part of life, and breaking even minor rules can result in extreme punishment. Camp 14 exemplifies the severity of North Korea's regime, where inmates are reduced to survival at any cost.